calling to order the City of Seal Beach Planning Commission meeting of December 17th, 2018. Welcome, everybody. To start this off, if Commissioner Klinger will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Mary Ann. Next is roll call. Ms. Roberts?
Chair Thomas,
Here.
Vice Chair Klinger,
Here.
Commissioner Aguilar,
Here.
Commissioner Campbell,
Here.
Commissioner Gerges is absent.
All right, thank you, Robin. Moving on to approval of the agenda by motion of the Planning Commission. This is the time to notify the public of any changes to the agenda, rearrange the order of the agenda, and provide an opportunity for any member of the Planning Commission or staff to request an item be removed from the consent calendar or separate action. Commissioners, do you have any comments on the agenda? Staff, do we have anything?
No changes.
Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a second. Please vote. Yes, okay, so 4-0. Thank you very much. All right, moving on. Time for oral communications. At this time, members of the public may address the Planning Commission regarding any items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Commission. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the Commission cannot discuss or take action on any items not on the agenda unless authorized by law. Those members of the public wishing to speak are asked to come forward to the microphone and state their name for the record. All speakers will be limited to a period of 5 minutes. So I'd like to open the opportunity for anyone in the audience to come up and speak. Would anyone like to? All right, seeing none, open the oral communications period is now closed. Moving on to the consent calendar. Let's see, consent calendar. Boy, it's been a while since I had a meeting. We have two past meeting minutes on the consent calendar. Do we have a motion for the consent calendar?
So moved.
Do you want to do them individually, or do you want to just do both?
Let's ask,
If you want to just do a motion to approve the consent calendar,
Yeah,
you
we
can
can
do
just-
them
yeah.
all at once.
okay. Thank you, Amy. So a motion to approve the entire consent calendar?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, please vote. And it passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody. Okay, next, continued items, we have none. Scheduled matters, we have none. New business, item number 3, minor use permit at 408 Marina Drive. Director Landavazo, do we have a staff report?
Yes, Steve Fowler will be giving the staff report.
Thank you, Crystal. Mr. Fowler?
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Chairman and fellow commissioners. This evening, item 3 is at 408 Marina Drive, minor use permit 18-11, to allow a small-scale commercial recreational use or fitness studio in a multi-unit commercial building in the specialty commercial zone. This location is at the corner of 5th and Marina, with the location facing onto Marina. We have an office building here, the subject site here, a liquor store right here, and another business right here. All of the parking for this location is at the rear of the location. It's approximately a 4,500 square foot commercial building located in a commercial zone surrounded by residential properties around 3 sides, and then commercial on 2 of the corners adjacent to it, located in the Old Town area. The site is a 551 square foot building that's realistically going to be open with only one wall to separate the training area from the office area, with this wall being located right here. In the conditions, you can see that we're limiting the number of occupants to 5 plus the instructor, so 6, and that's based upon the building's occupancy load figured by the building official. This is here before you because small-scale recreation uses are required approval of a minor use permit for this particular use. The only thing that is any different than anything else in this particular area would be the hours of business, but due to fitness type uses, typically people like to go before work to train and things like that. So the business hours are 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday, and 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Sunday. With that, we have received no correspondence has been received. And with that, that concludes my presentation.
Mr. Chair, if I may clarify, the staff report does identify 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday instead of 7 p.m.
And the correct time is, it is 9?
9
It is
p.m.
9 p.m.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Crystal. Fellow commissioners, does anyone have any questions of staff?
I do. What's the hours of the liquor store?
The-
They open earlier or later anyway?
All I've seen them, the applicant who is here for this use could answer that question for you, for
I'll
sure.
reserve my question until you apply.
Very good.
All right.
Any other questions of staff? All right, so I'd like to open this item for public comment. Does anyone want to come up and say anything about this particular item to us? Please step forward and state your name, and you have 5 minutes. Or less.
You could pull it down.
I can't, it just,
There you go.
oh, it doesn't make any noise.
No, you're
All
good.
right. Hi, I'm Julie Beck, the owner of Warrior Up Fitness, and I can answer the liquor store question. I see Rick, the gentleman, come around the corner 7 o'clock.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's 9 or 10. I've never been there later than
It's fairly
7:30.
early as opposed to 2 a.m.
No, they're not. I want to say 9 or 10. It could be 11. I don't know what their weekend hours are either.
I was just curious about the traffic in the area.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. And then I just thought I would present myself if you had any questions also. I really didn't have any other comments other than to say, thank you.
Well, thank you, Ms. Beck.
Okay.
Do any commissioners have any questions for the applicant?
Are you venturing off from any time? Were you at any time before this?
I actually had the business at 209 and a half Main Street,
Okay.
Flex Personal Training, for 10 years on Main Street.
Okay.
I was actually your first code on Main Street. I was the originator of this whole fitness
Oh, yeah?
genre, I suppose you can say, of a small boutique studio.
Okay.
And then when I closed in 2011, I did go over to Anytime. I spent a year at Beach Body Design and a lovely Linda. And I decided it was time to just come back. You know, the environment changed and
Now, is this machine work or is it classes with
no,
with
I
music?
actually
Is it
am.
classes with
I've
music?
moved on. That's a great question. I'm a natural movement trainer now, and that means I don't actually have any physical gear that is a machine in the studio. I have a TRX unit, meaning an overhead where people use a TRX. You can hang those on a tree. I chose to mount a rack, and that is we have a small bag. And I would I will definitely take advantage of the 5 people, but we're not aerobics per se, it's body weight training and functional training equipment. So most of the gear that we use is all on the side of the walls. In other words, you go over, you get a ball, you get a rope, you get a band. I set up the workouts, they come in, and everything's very mobile. In fact, everybody talks about, you know, you can see the room change. I do online fitness training in there, by the way. So that has been my studio pretty much to date.
I guess my question was, so is there going to be loud music, meaning that, so there's no aerobics or that kind of?
No,
like,
we're not,
class?
I'm not a membership, I'm not a gym.
Okay.
It's a 1 hour or a 30-minute would be that session time. Come in, leave,
Okay.
yes.
All right, good. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much, Ms. Beck. Okay, anyone else? Would anyone else like to step forward? Please do.
Hi, my name's Mike Beckage, and good evening, planning commissioners and staff. I live at 370 Clipper Way, so I can almost see this location from my bathroom window. I've known Julie for 15 years. My wife started training with her when she was at True to Form, and shortly after she opened her studio on Main Street, I started going to her for fitness training using her small, she called it boutique gym, on and off for 12 years now. And she's had an incredibly positive effect on our lives. I really feel like Julie's presence here in Seal Beach as a trainer and someone steering us toward healthier lifestyles and working out is a huge net positive for the city. And I would recommend you approve the permit because I look forward to being able to train with Julie for as long as she wants to stay in business.
It's a shorter walk for you now, huh?
It is, yeah. And we actually did Main Street. I did training with her on Main Street, followed her to Anytime Fitness, followed her to 17th Street, and I'll stick with her. She's an amazing trainer, best I've ever had. So,
Great.
and if you have any, it's liquor stores open till at least 10. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beckich. Would anyone else care to comment on this issue? All right, with that, I will close the comment period. Directors, is there any conversation? Anyone like to add anything? Any like to say anything? Any motion to?
I'll move for approval.
I'll second.
All right, we have a second. Please vote. And it passes 4-0. So thank you. Congratulations, Julie, and look forward to seeing your studio over there.
Mr.
Ms.
Chair,
Grayson?
there is a 10-day appeal period, and that appeal period starts running tomorrow.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you very much. We have a fourth item here. Okay, fourth item, minor use permit, MUP 18-12, 122 14th Street. Director Landavazo, do we have a staff report?
Yes, Planner Fowler will be giving the report.
All right, thank you. Mr. Fowler?
Thank you, Director, Chairman, fellow commissioners. Item 4 is to allow the interior remodel of a non-conforming duplex that is non-conforming due to density, parking, and setbacks in the residential high-density RHD 20 zoning area. As you can see here, the site is located on the east side of 14th Street, surrounded by residential units, with the primary unit here in the front and the secondary unit over the top of the garage at the rear. So the site is, as I said earlier, is non-conforming due to setbacks. As you can see from this site plan here, the setback here on this side is 1 foot 6 inches, and the same as the other side, where it's required to be 3 foot as it is here in the rear. The rear yard setback is required to be 9 feet, as it's 24 feet minus the alley, and the alleyway is 15 feet, so it's required to be 9, but it's only 8 feet. The site is just over 2,750 square feet, and it's required to be 4,356 square feet if there are 2 dwelling units on the site, which makes it non-conforming due to density. And the parking spaces, it currently has 2 parking spaces within an enclosed garage. It's required to have 4, so it's deficient due to parking. Due to the interior remodel of the house and the adding and removal of walls is why it's here before the commission this evening, and the exterior stairway being repaired is also a reason. As you can see from this floor plan, the blue is where the applicant is requesting to add walls. The red is where they were removed. So realistically, they were reorganizing the closets in the bedroom and then eliminating a wall between the kitchen and the living room area to make it a more open floor plan. With that, I've received no correspondence, and that concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you, Steve. Okay, commissioners, do we have any questions of staff? Seeing none, we'll open this for any comments or questions from the community. So would anyone care to speak on this topic? All right, seeing no one, we will close the comment period. Is there any questions or anyone wish to make a motion?
I'll move to pass.
Move to approve?
I'll second.
Second. Thank you very much. Okay, oh wait, let me clear that. Please vote. And that passes 4-0.
And again, there is a 10-day appeal period from this decision. That appeal period starts running tomorrow.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, getting back to our agenda. I don't think we have any more items tonight, so let's see, public hearings. We have any public hearings to announce? Director's report. Do we have a director's report?
I do have a report for the commission this evening. As we remember from our last meeting, the item that was brought, the public hearing that was brought before the commission was the ADU ordinance that was being presented to the city council. At the planning commission's direction, staff reviewed what other cities have done in regard to the ADU ordinance, what different provisions they were trying to apply, and what seems to have withstood different court cases. We presented this to the city council along with the identification that the planning commission had very grave concerns about the ordinance itself. As a result of that, what the city council came forward with were 3 modifications to the ordinance itself and 1 direction for a modification if additional research proved that it would be something that we can add in there. So in general, 1 modification was that parking in all front yard setbacks would be expressly prohibited. Lot size minimums would be 5,000 square feet for the addition of an ADU. And annual verification will be required for owner occupancy for all ADUs that are approved. The pending item that we received direction for was that non-conforming properties that are non-conforming due to setbacks in the side and rear should not be allowed to add in an ADU. That last item, we took the direction and we agreed that we would be incorporating it into the ordinance if the city attorney's office felt that it was something that we could support. If not, it will come back with the 3 modifications and an explanation as to why that 4th modification cannot be included. So right now, this is the direction that the city council approved, along with direction to staff to continue to monitor any additional changes that may come down from the state in regard to this item, and any other provisions that have been provided by other cities that seem to be withstanding any type of court challenge or any other type of challenge that may come their way. So it is something that staff will continue to be monitoring and working with the city attorney's office to ensure that we are on top of what's happening with this particular item. And with that, I'm available for any questions that the commission may have.
I do have one question, and that is, so these ADUs, are they required to have an independent electric meter, water meter? Are those required, like modifications to the site if you're going to do this?
Any new ADU would need all the proper building permits. So you would have to make sure that utilities are connected to the new ADU. It has to completely operate as its own separate unit. So yes, it would need its own connections.
Okay, so, and I'm just kind of curious because I've done a little bit of research on this. So I know some cities, when you have to bring in a new water meter, you have to pay the city to do the restoration, install the meter, do the restoration, all that. Is that the way our current building, I guess, permit process
The
works?
city attorney can correct me. I believe the newer legislation no longer allows us to charge for new connection fees because the state regards it as an accessory to the existing dwelling. It's not in the case where you're building a duplex and they're identified as two separate units. We can charge one for the addition to the housing stock. In this case, because it's an accessory structure, the state will no longer allow us to apply a new connection fee.
Well, what about the actual new meter, I guess is what I'm saying. It's like you have to put in a new meter, you got to dig up the sidewalk, you got to,
For the work itself, we are able to issue a plumbing permit, an electrical permit, and we will be. So those, I believe, we have a set fee for the, I don't charge them myself, but my understanding, we have our fee schedule sets for the different fixtures or whatever it may be. There's a set amount or valuation depending on whatever applies to whatever particular item is being done.
okay, but if they do have to, for whatever reason, like say rip up the curb or gutter or something like that, then,
They would have to pay for any repairs that are done, correct?
all right. Okay, very good. Does anyone have any questions about this particular item?
You clarify the 5,000 square feet, that's the lot size total, so it has to have a minimum of that to have any sort of, so if it's a smaller lot, it wouldn't qualify.
That's correct.
Very good. I appreciate you doing that research and taking that to council for us. Thank you, Crystal.
Actually, I do have one more question, I'm sorry. Do we reserve the right as a city to modify the law as we progress and find if there's any sort of abuse of it, or if there's something that doesn't comply with what we're trying to do with the city?
I mean,
Or is it- I mean, when we set it, is it set?
the city is always able to make modifications to our municipal code, so we can always propose a zone code amendment zone code amendment. It's a zoning code that we're modifying, so we can always move forward with
Can we
something like that.
address
Mhm.
it? And would that have to go through a process again, or can that be done? directly with the
Anything
city?
that modifies the zoning code has to go to the planning commission before it goes to the city council.
Okay, thank you.
Would you like to add anything, Ms. Grayson?
No,
Okay,
she stated it exactly correctly.
all right, very
You did
good.
a good job.
Okay, let's see, commissioner concerns. Would anyone like to ask anything at this time? Please.
I'd like to make a comment. This past weekend, the College Park East Neighborhood Association held its Holiday Lights Contest, and we designated 7 homes in College Park East as the winners, and will be listed online along with runner-ups, and hopefully they'll be in the Seal Beach Sun when it comes out on Thursday. We give the winners a sign, also an Amazon gift card, and they have, just like the chili contest, they get bragging rights for the year. And so it was a lot of fun, and some of the homes are just beautiful. So if you can, drive on up. So that's one of the reasons why we want to put it in the sun, so everybody from the rest of the city can come on up to College Park East and see all the lovely homes.
Thank you, Patty. Anyone else? All right, so today, is this our last meeting of the year here in Chambers? All right, so I do want to wish everyone a very safe and happy holiday season from all of us here on the Planning Commission, if I could speak for everyone. And also, I do want to mention that I think this is Robin's last meeting, and so I do want to say that we very, very, very much appreciate your service to the city. Thank you, and we wish you all the best. Thank you very much. Okay. And I guess with that, meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everyone.